Welcome to the Soul Mirror. I'm your host, Shreya. Today's conversation welcomes the incomparable Victoria B. Thompson, a woman whose life reads like a masterclass in resilience, reinvention, and purposeful living. From disciplined years in the Air Force to navigating single motherhood, entrepreneurship, and a transformative healing journey, she embodies what it means to rise with intention. In a world that often feels unpredictable, her voice reminds us that clarity and calm are still choices and powerful ones. Yet step into a dialogue that blends wisdom, vulnerability, and strength in a way that inspires every listener to find their footing, even when the ground shifts. So, welcome, Victoria. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And, Victoria, what does thriving in uncertain times personally mean to you, especially after navigating such diverse chapters in your life?
For what it means to me is believing in yourself no matter what. It's just having that unwavering belief. Um, and honestly, really, truly believe in yourself. You understand anything is possible, no matter what you think is hope that's in your way. You can get through it.
Yes, that's so true. And when you think back to the version of yourself before your turning point in 2018, what mindset shifts feel the most essential today?
Um, I'll say, well, for me, that kind of got me there. I would prior to it, I would consider myself I'm realistic. And not really understanding that you create your reality. So in another quote that I will always say is I hope for the best, but I prepare for the worst. So not understanding the power of the words and not when you hoping you really don't believe that it's gonna pan out good, just is a creation of a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes. And I think, I imagine listeners will really resonate with that evolution because many still try to push through the chaos instead of transforming within. But your shift offers a perspective that challenges the belief that survival is the goal when in reality, growth is the higher aim. And how,
Absolutely.
yes. And also you have balanced motherhood, military life, entrepreneurship, and healing. How do you maintain the inner steadiness when external environments are unpredictable?
I actually I'll give you an example that I just went through right now because I'm also a federal employee. And with the government shut down, we were off of work for 40 days, no paycheck. And I think, is the thing to say as far as looking at the reality, you can see things and see the writing on the wall without making it your story. So for me, I don't it's like I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. I just kind of look at it and I let it go. I don't embody it. I don't claim it to be my own. So right, I knew it was happening and I just had a thought, I'll be fine. And
Mm.
I was fine to not get, paid for over a month, not have any issues. And so since I am an entrepreneur, I invest in real estate, I was able to make um all three mortgage payments on time. It didn't affect me, but it's really because of how I think. I trust it. I trust the process. I trust the journey. I knew that everything was going to be fine.
Yes, that is so beautiful. That approach really feels accessible. And are there any daily grounding practices that truly anchor you even on the toughest days?
Oh yes, meditation. I swear by meditating twice a day. I like to meditate soon as I wake up before my feet touch the floor. I'll meditate for 15 minutes before I go to bed. I meditate. And for me, it's a way to me is a way to control your mind. It's so you don't have those negative thoughts and you're able to control what you think and how to create your reality.
Yes, that approach really incredible, and I think it reframes resilience as a habit rather than a heroic moment, and I think it opens the door for listeners to see stability as something they can build, not wait for. And also, many people today wrestle with pressure and purpose. How do you distinguish between moving with ambition and moving with alignment?
Ah, how I determine is based off of how I feel. I am 100% in tune with my feeling. If something doesn't feel right, whatever reason, it could, honestly, some years ago, I was offered an opportunity when I had my nonprofit to get, to be a part of this grant. This lady was writing, it was a couple $1,000,000. And honestly, it could have been a life changing grant for the organization, but I follow my gut feeling. It didn't feel right. A lot of people thought I was crazy. But later on down the line, I realized the lady was trying to steal the nonprofit, and she wanted to put her people on the board to control it. So everything I do, it's based off my feeling from every decision. I don't go based on the logic approach, because sometimes I feel like our mind can trick us into something that we shouldn't be doing. So it's really heart coherent, and if it's meant to be, it'll be.
Yes, that's so true, and I think thank you for sharing this with us. And have there been moments when you realized you were chasing something that no longer matched your values?
Yes, I think a lot of that's probably more noticeable is through friendships. When you start to, and I'm gonna say it's not that in cases I'm better. I think it's when you're energetically not aligned anymore, and you want to continue to grow, and a person may not be in a position, or they just may not be in that point of their lives. I've had a lot of situations growing up from even my early 20s, people that I had been friends forever, but in the where I was going energetically, they weren't ready for that move.
Mm, yeah.
So in um I believe in protecting my energy, especially when it comes to negativity. Like we can be friends, but you have to really control the type of energy you're around.
Yes. That's like, I think many listeners may have relate with that. And thank you for sharing what you have gone through. And I think your insights invites our listeners to reevaluate their own pursuits with honesty rather than fear. And also, after experiencing a health scare that shifted your direction, what role does healing, both like emotional and physical, play in the way you navigate uncertainty now?
Um Honestly, that health scare, it kind of gave, I'm gonna say it gave me courage, because it was a reality that we're here for a short time and we don't know when our time comes up. So now I don't spend time trying to perfect things like, oh, it has to be a certain way. I just lean into it. If it feels good, I go full in. Um it will, to the point that it's really unapologetically. I just kind of go with the flow. If I decided tomorrow I want to be a pilot in it and it feels like that's something that I should be doing, I'm gonna find the next class and I'm gonna sign up. And that level of fearness, you can really accomplish so much more, because I think a lot of times with people, when you want to start a new chapter in your life, you're concerned, yeah, is it gonna work? How is it gonna work? And I don't look at the details of anything. And I trust my intuition. And one of the things that, if I like I said, I go based off of how I feel, and I really, the universe, it gives you the answers on your way. once you know the end goal, the universe provides the answers, whether it's in a person, whether it's in a thought. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And do you believe healing is something we revisit repeatedly, or is it a milestone we reach once?
um, oh, I said it one more time.
Yeah, like, do you believe that healing is something that we can revisit repeatedly, or is it a milestone that we just can reach once only?
No, I think that is 100 healing is 100% mentally, and I don't think it's a one time. I think that it can fluctuate, but it depends on where you're at mentally. Because I feel like everything starts with the mindset, whether is your health, whether it's something that you're trying to accomplish. Your mindset is everything.
Yes, I also fully agree with that. And I think that's such a refreshing perspective also, because I think it softens the pressure to be fully healed. Instead, it encourages people to view healing as a lifelong companion and not just a finish line that we have reached.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Also, your work focuses heavily on meaningful connections and legacy. Why do you think authentic relationships become even more crucial during uncertain times?
Uh, Well, I think the reason why it's so crucial, one, and I had spoke on relationships and keep you want people around you that's optimistic, that's positive, especially if it's someone that you talk to on a regular basis that you really admire and you respect, because that if they're constantly talking negativity, you may not realize it, but subconsciously you're picking up on that, and that's affecting your subconscious mind. But if you're around a group of people that are like-minded, that are optimistic, that are going to look for solutions, not look at everything as failures, you can go so much further. I had a good friend during this government shutdown. We would talk every day, and we would talk about, we would frame it as our real life, because our job was just an end to pay the bills. But what we really wanted to do was outside of that. And during that time, she's actually, this is her last week of, she's going to be a doula, and we're HR supervisors. So us having those conversations and pouring into each other every day, it helped us further see the vision of what we were truly meant to be.
That's so beautiful. That's actually really very beautiful. And also, like, was there a moment when you realized that self leadership is not just a concept, but a necessity in your own life?
Yes. I've had that moment. It's almost where and the is a I would say it's a flow, right? Life, you things happen, you come in and out of it, far as where you're at mentally, your mindset. But a lot of times for me, when I started, so 2008, when I found out the health scare and I changed everything, I started meditating. That's actually what got me to meditate. Um, and started looking more at like law of attraction and things of that nature and who I was listening to. Um, I had got so deep into it, and then I started to teeter off a little bit. I started watching reality TV, something that I had previously cut off. I started noticing the change in my relationships with people. I started noticing I started eating bad. It was just certain things, and it made me realize that I had to get back to where I was at.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think this like your this experience or story will really inspire and invites our listeners to revisit their selves also. And also, throughout your journey, your identity has evolved multiple times. Do you
Yes.
stay, like, how do you stay rooted when you are constantly expanding?
I know the easiest for me, I'll say, is really meditation. That's what keeps me grounded.
I love that perspective. And do you have any process for letting go of past identities that no longer serve you?
Um, I wouldn't say I have necessarily a process that I utilize. And it's hard to say. For me, it's just really all in the mindset. And just well, I guess you could say because I do have a process. Now that I think about it, I like to do like a far as like a review of my life and where I want to be. So I may go back and think about past Victoria. And I'm big on accountability. So I may look at, so, okay, well, during this time of my life, this, and this happened. And how did I get there? What decisions did I make? So I'm constantly looking at my old self and where I want to be.
And I love this perspective because I think so many people cling to the old version of themselves out of fear. But I think your story really shows that identity can be fluid without being fragile. And it strength, like many people search for purpose in big, like life changing events. How do you find purpose in the ordinary, everyday moments?
I think it's being authentic to yourself. I think when people think of purpose, they tend to look outside and trying to fill the void. But I feel like as long as you're authentic to who you are, you can't go wrong. When you're authentic and you're centered, your purpose is gonna come. You're gonna know this is what I'm meant to be. This is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. And that's really grounding reminder. And fear also shows up like for many people, especially during transition. How do you differentiate between fear that protects you and that fear that limits you?
The fear, that's a good question. I keep talking about the going with the feeling. You have, and I'll give you another example. So during the shutdown, I get an email from one of my property management companies, and they tell me the tenant moved out, and then I just moved into a luxury apartment, and I instantly got fearful, instantly. But I had to go back and remind myself that everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to. And then as far as fear, I don't look at it as fear when it's something that's supposed to warn you. I think it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
I think when you have that fear and it feels nauseating, I think that's a distraction. But the fear that you're getting, I'll say a clue that you may need to pivot in a different direction is going to feel calm. It's going to feel like, okay, this is this decision that I need to make. And it won't feel like chaos.
Yeah. That's such a grounded reminder too. And how can someone begin building more intentional connection when they feel overwhelmed or disconnected themselves?
I always tell everybody, start with meditating. Even if you are someone that's just starting to meditate and you need to sit, find the app with guided meditation. Start off with something that's small. Maybe start off with a minute a day or 3 minutes. Just something where you can start acclimating yourself because it is a challenge when you haven't and when you're not used to meditating. When you start to meditate and you start to be able to control your thoughts, that's when everything changes.
Yes. And I think your view make, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. You can go. No, I was just saying that I think that's the biggest thing is really the meditation aspect and learning how to control your thoughts. Um, and then it shifts your mindset. I think a lot of people think that you need all these other things, but something as simple as meditating can really be the game changer.
Yes. And this is so beautiful. And I think your view makes connections feel less like the networking and more like a nourishment, a self nourishment. And thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us today. And I think your honesty, your presence, and the depth of your journey have touched me and I think all my listeners in such a meaningful way. And I'm truly grateful for the light you brought into this conversation. And thank you for being here with us. It's really an honor. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
The best way they can either connect through Instagram, which is Victoria B. Thompson, or if they want to reach out and have a conversation with me, they can reach out to me, victoriabthompson.com, and book an appointment if they want to further communicate and have more conversations.
Yes, and I will make sure to attach all these details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and to know more from you because you're truly, truly an amazing person. And to all my listeners, thank you for joining this enriching conversation. Victoria's journey reminds us that uncertainty is not an obstacle. It's an invitation to rise with clarity, courage, and consciousness. If today's dialogue starts something within you, take a step, however small, toward your own alignment, then reflect, reconnect, and rebuild. The future may be uncertain, but your path can still be deliberate. Thank you.